1962, I attended my first funeral. It was my great-grandmother, Mattie Hammond. She was 90. I was 12. Mattie and I were very close. I lived most of my life at her house because I was the closest grandkid or great-grandchild that lived to her. She had 5 children, 6 grandchildren, and 10 great-grandchildren also. So when she died, it was the most significant emotional event in my life where I felt loss. I felt grief for the first time. 12-year-old boys try really hard not to cry when they're around all their cousins. I did not succeed. Her funeral was traumatic, to say the least. To this day, I can remember the smell of all the flowers that were there. Many, almost 100 people had to be there. I can hear the live harp player playing music, a live actual harp player playing music. And so it was very traumatic. So the event's going on, and now it's time to say goodbye, and all the adults are leaning over the casket and kissing her. So I thought, well, maybe that's what we're supposed to do. So when I got up there, I did that. I leaned over and kissed her. Her lips were cold and dry. It was not Mattie. It was a terrible experience. From that time on, I never kissed another corpse. Not even my mother when she passed away. Now, when you're 12, it was traumatic. By the following year, I was going out with girls and other things became more important. So Mattie went out of my brain. But even today, I can still hear her calling me Bertie. None of you get to call me Bertie. So time goes on. I become a firefighter, and I'm 30 years old. And I meet Mattie again. The event is my grandfather, Burton, he passes away, and my mom and we get the job of cleaning his house out. So I'm going through his papers, and in the paper, there's a poem that Mattie had written to him and my grandmother on the event of their retirement and anniversary. As I'm reading this, I can hear Mattie's voice in my head. And one of the poems was titled Sunday Dinner at Ethel and Bert's. And it begins with, "Here I sit with 9 of my great-grands." I think, wow, I was one of those great-grands. She's writing a poem about me. And I remember that event. And there's actually a picture of all of us with her. So I said to my mom, I said, "Mom, I've had no idea Mattie did this." She said, "Yeah, Mattie wrote poetry all the time." I said, "Where is it?" She said, "Well, ask Mattie's daughter, Pat, when you see her next time." So next time I'm up there, I said, "I understand Mattie wrote poetry." She said, "Yeah." I'm handed this typed manuscript of 60 poems that Mattie had written over her lifetime that no one had ever looked at before. She probably wrote them and handed them to the individuals, but it was never shared with the whole family. As I'm reading through this, it's about Christmases and birthdays and summertime, and I come across a poem about me, a feather. Great-grandson brought a feather today. I don't know why the blue jay threw that one away. Maybe as a token, this gift to a little boy on a bright summer day who doesn't play with toys, but tries his skill in casting to catch a great big fish. And if he ever catches one, that is his dearest wish. I'm crying, I'm sobbing. I mean, what an emotional event. So I took the manuscript, had it retyped, spiral bound, made hundreds of copies and gave one to everybody in the family for Christmas. Because this should not be lost. This was an amazing thing to have. When people would come over to the house, I'd show it to them, and just tell them the story about that feather. So it's 2001, and my grandson, Golden, was outside playing. Next thing you know, he comes up to me, and he gives me a blue jay feather. I could hardly hold myself from crying, but I wouldn't upset the kid. He runs away, and I start crying because now I've got this blue jay feather. Wow. 2004, my mom, myself, my wife, we get the job of cleaning out Aunt Pat's house, which was Maddie's oldest, or the last of Maddie's children to die. She was 100 when she died. So we clean the house out, and it's all done. And my mother says, Aunt Pat wanted you to have this case. I said, okay. This case, I unzip it. In the case are all the handwritten original poems that Maddie wrote. As I'm flipping through the collection, I found the blue jay feather that I gave her. Wow. Wow. That's a powerful story. It's, so now I tell that story too. And in 2000, so now I've got the original handwritten stuff and the typed stuff, so I put it all into a collection. I actually published my great-grandmother's poetry. The book is called A Feather with a picture of a blue jay on the front cover. So it's got all the pictures in there, all the poems in there. And so on Amazon. So I'm very proud of that, and life goes on. Now it's 2000, it's the year 2020. And my granddaughter calls me up and says, Grandpa, my husband, my fiance and I want you to marry us. Would you be the officiator at our wedding? I said, of course I would. So we fly out, we marry him. Wonderful, life is fantastic. A year later, they have a baby, Crew, for the first time. So naturally, we have to go back to New Mexico and see Crew for the first time. But now, there's a new experience. So I decide I'm going to write a poem to Crew. I haven't memorized that one yet, so you have to let me read it. Love time travel. We gave great-grandson Crew a blue jay feather today as a gift that spans time for him to value someday. Our great-grandparents loved us just like we love Crew. He will love great-grands too, because love over time is not new. A 7-generation story is passed on now. We wish Crew love his whole life through. So that was, Carol and I gave that to our great-grandson in 2021. In 2022, Carol died. Again, I didn't know that I could have such loss that I had never experienced before. The funeral was a blur. I don't really remember it, but lots of people were there. And it was time to close the coffin. I couldn't not kiss her goodbye. So when I leaned over and kissed her, her lips were moist and wet from my tears. That's when she kissed me goodbye. Thank you.